Hi, my name is Lorward, and I'm a survivor of. My family and I, we grew up in Torrance, California. I'm one of 8 kids, so I have 7 siblings, and we just grew up hanging out together, playing tennis together, going outside, camping. When I look back and I'm like, why did I ever decide to go to a college in North Carolina? Going to college, and it's just this very small private Christian school in its own little bubble, was such a weird experience. I met my abuser my first semester there, like very early on, because he was a really close friend of one of my tennis athletes on the team. We'll just give him a fake name and we'll call him Kyle. So Kyle and I, as friends, he is an upperclassman. Yeah. So the first time Kyle had really crossed the line, he had invited over a couple of friends back to his apartment, and you're like, hey, we're going to drink, let's do this thing. And little me had never had before, but I remember as soon as I had and I drank it, I was just like, I just feel so anxious right now. I just need to get out. My skin is crawling. I just don't feel safe. And so I just pretended to be asleep. As the night wears on, everyone's like, hey, let's just leave Lorward here. Kyle and one of my teammates, they'll take care of him. It'll be fine. And we don't want to take him back to the dorm where he's going to get into trouble, all this stuff. And so they kind of left me. And so I'm on the floor, just trying to sleep, be like, everyone leave me alone. I don't feel safe. I want to go to bed. And Kyle picks me up and he's just places me on the couch. And every time I think about that, I just feel so light to him in his mind. I feel like he just picks me up and puts me on the couch. He's like, I got to tell you something. I got to tell you something. And I'm like, I don't care. I want to go to bed. And he's like, I got to tell you something. And I was like, okay, what? And he looks at me really intently and he's like, oh, I'm gay. I'm like, okay, cool. Thanks for letting me know. This really doesn't change much about our friendship. And he's like, I'm only telling you because you're from California. You would understand. You know what it's like to not be feel accepted and to feel really out of place. And I was like, okay, I really appreciate you telling me. And he's like, but you can't tell anyone. You can't tell anyone. If the school found out, oh my gosh, they would do all these things would happen. And I was like, okay, I'll keep it secret. Geez, relax. And as we continue talking, he reaches over and he me on my, and I'm just like, whoa, it's not okay. And I get up and I'm just immediately just very startled. And I'm just this is very weird. This is a brand new experience for me. I'm like, no, you can't do that. That's not okay. I didn't give you consent. That's a boundary. You don't cross that. We're friends. What is going on right now? And I just remember him being upset, and he's trying to calm me down. He's like, I'm sorry, but you shouldn't, all this stuff. He's like, you're homophobic. You hate gay people. That's why you're doing this. I told you something personal and you're using it against me. And I was like, what is happening right now? I'm really confused because you did something wrong, but I feel like I did something wrong. What is happening right now? And that just kind of continued through the night. But then eventually I just left. And the next day, we run into each other and he's like, you can't do that. You're so homophobic. You hate Black people. You are just like everyone else who betrays me. And I felt so hurt by that. This person did something wrong to me, but I feel like I need to make amends for what they did. It's just such a confusing place to be in the moment and to feel like I'm in the wrong when you did something wrong. After some amount of time, he reaches back out and he's like, hey, I'm really sorry for the way that I acted. I shouldn't have said those things. Obviously, you don't hate gay people. You don't hate Black people, all this stuff. And I'm like, oh, thank you. This feels really nice to hear because I had dismissed that part of myself. And I was like, maybe I do. But to be able to hear someone apologize in genuine, with a genuine heart, is really it really means something. And so after he had apologized, we're hanging out again and we're friends again. And things go back to just being casual, cool friends. So the second time he crosses the line with me is we're going back to his apartment. I think we're just grabbing something random and we're just going back and forth about some meaningless argument, and we're just bantering. And out of nowhere he goes oh, I hate fighting with you. And I was like, it's kind of a weird thing to say. This is a very casual argument. I don't know why you feel this way. And then he grabs me by the shoulders and he puts me up against the wall. And I'm just oh my gosh, I do not like being handled this way. This is not fun. I'm really scared. He's just a bigger dude than me. He puts his arms on the side. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't feel safe. Am I about to get beat? What is it happening right now? And I just feel so frozen in place. And he comes in and he kisses me. And I remember he pulls away and he's like, you're such a bad kisser. And I'm like, no, duh. But again, I'm trying to stay super calm. I'm trying to stay super composed because I'm I don't know what could happen if I freak out. Things might get worse. And so I'm trying to stay super calm. I'm just trying to be okay, it's okay. We're going to stay inside our hair. We're going to put our head down and we're going to get through this. And then we're going to just figure it out from there. And I think we had gone to a sporting event. And then we had come back and then I just excused myself. And I was like, hey, I gotta go. I need to wake up early for practice or something. And just left. But again, all those same feelings of just feeling so disgusted in my own body, of feeling I don't want to be here, of feeling I just remember wanting to cut off my lips and I just being this is so gross. I feel so gross. And I don't know what to do because all of it is like an internal thing. It's not something that I can wash off. It's something that's inside of me. And I think that was just such a really, really difficult place to be. And honestly, like, I don't remember what had happened afterwards between Kyle and I'm sure we had made up because there was another incident, but I don't remember what had happened. And so the third time it happened, it was kind of like a month or two in between times before it kind of happened again. We're just, pretending to be friends. In my head, I'm like, just shut up, get through it, don't tell anybody. No one really cares anyway. Like, and if you told someone and they did care, they just make fun of you, they'd use it against you. And so I was like, okay, like, we're just not going to say anything and we're just going to get through this. And the third time, like, I really don't remember like how I ended up at his apartment. But like, and people have asked me like, oh, like, did he like take you by force? And I was like, that's not the feeling I have. That just, the memory is so blurry for me. I just don't know how I ended up there. I think Kyle had just like invited me to his place and he was like, oh, like, let's hang out, like, let's get some food and like watch a movie or something. And I was like, okay, sure, like, whatever, like, that sounds fine. And I think if I remember correctly, he had initiated that because he was like, I'm really sorry for how I treated you. Like, I know we haven't been really close friends as of late, but like, I want to make it up. And, I was like, oh, like, it's a gesture of goodwill. Like, okay, for sure. And I just remember it being like cold and snowy in my mind. And I get there, something happens, and it's something that, like, as try as I might, like, it's something that I just can't remember. But I remember just being like on the floor on a mattress with like his body pressed up against mine. And I'm just like, I'm waking up and I'm like, it's really hot. I'm like, I'm not wearing a shirt. I'm not wearing sweats. Like, I was definitely wearing those when I came. And just like, I feel his like in between my butt cheeks, and I'm just like, oh my God, this is really gross. Like, I don't feel comfortable. And I can feel it, like his hand is like over, he's like, oh, like, and something happens, but he's like stroking me. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, what is happening? Like, and again, like, I'm just freezing again. Like, I'm just like, I don't know what to do. I don't know if I want to freak out. Like, he's so much bigger than me. If I freak out and like try to fight, like, he's just going to beat me. So it doesn't matter. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And I'm just trying to stay so calm. And I'm just like freaking out. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I feel so uncomfortable. And then he asked me, he's like, is this okay? And I remember in that moment, like, I had so much clarity in my mind, but I was like, I know he's recording this. In my mind, I was like, I know he's recording this. But even though I had that level of clarity and I was like, I know he's recording this. I know he knows what he's doing is wrong. And he's like, is this okay? Like, in my mind, I'm like, if I say no, what's going to happen? If I say no, like, there are no good outcomes for this. It's not as though he's going to be like, oh, like, you set a boundary. Okay, like, I'm gonna let you go. I was just like, this doesn't end well. So I was just like, and I remember just like, I have this very clear image in my mind of this, like, the softest, most timid, like, most coerced yes coming out of my mouth. I just feel like, yes. And just like barely croaking it out. And he asks again, because I'm like, he has something, he's recording me. And I croak it out again. And I'm like, I pray to God that if someone ever hears this, they can hear the tension in my voice, like just the most coerced dribble out of a yes ever. And so eventually, after a while, he keeps going and I'm just like, okay, like, I'm going to leave now. Like, everything's okay. There was no, but he like just kept going. And then after a while, I was like, I'm good. So I'm like out of the mattress. I'm like putting my clothes on. I'm trying to be like, oh, like, I'm super tired. Like, I want to sleep in my own bed. I'm like trying to come up with like this very nonchalant excuse for why I need to leave right now. And I remember like walking down the stairs super slowly. And I was like, he can see me. I gotta be cool. I gotta be casual. But as soon as I like turn the corner and the trees are blocking my view, I'm like beelining it for my dorm. I'm just sprinting. And I just remember like, it's snowy, it's cold. Like, my feet are kind of slipping against the snow as I'm running. And the snow like kind of stings your face. And I like get back to my dorm room and I just remember like curling up and like squatting on the floor and just like hugging myself. And I was just like, I feel like if I don't hug myself right now, if I don't squeeze myself right now, like, everything is just going to spill out of me and I can't have that happen right now. I need to keep it together. And so I'm just like squatting there on the floor, like holding myself. And I'm just like, it's okay. Like, it's okay. Like, don't freak out. And in my head, I'm just freaking out. I'm like, what is happening right now? Like, so much is going through my brain. And I like get up and I like, right where I was squatting, right on my right, there's a mirror. And I remember like getting up from the squat and like catching my reflection in the mirror and just like wanting to throw up because I was just like so disgusted with myself. And I remember standing there and just being like, I don't want to be here. I hate how I feel. And I just like get up, I see myself and I turn. And then there's another mirror on the other side for my roommate right there. And I see myself like full face and I'm just like, oh my God, like, I want to throw up. Like, I hate you so much. Like, how could you let this happen? And I go out and like go to the bathroom, and I'm like trying to go to the pee, but I like can't even hold anything. I'm like looking away, and I'm just like, I don't even want to look at what is happening because I feel so disgusted with myself. I feel so gross. I feel like I want to just chop everything off. I feel like I want to shower and just scrub everything raw because it's so gross. I feel so dirty. I feel disgusting. I feel like just the worst thing ever. And then I just remember like lying in bed, and I just like have silent tears rolling down my face. And I'm like in such like shock, and just being like, okay, like I guess this is what it is, and just like falling asleep, like crying. And that was kind of that day. And I remember the first semester of my 4th year of college, and I was so lucky. My second semester of my 4th year, a new counselor comes in, and I was just like, okay, this is my chance. It's a brand new slate. I'm going to tell this person. I'm just going to really go in hot and heavy and just lay it all out. So I make an appointment, and I come in, and he's like, oh, like, hi, Lorward, like, how are you doing? And I'm like, I want to tell you something that I haven't told anyone before. It's like, okay, like, what's up? And I like spill all my guts out. My freshman year, there's this person, and they did this to me, and they gaslit me, and they made me feel like I was the only person that they could trust. And then I like went back to them, and then they did it again. And then I went back and all this stuff. And I was like, I'm a terrible person. I'm just laying it out. And he's just sitting there listening. And I look up, and I'm like, oh my God, like I'm such an idiot. I have so much vulnerability regret right now. I feel so stupid. Like, why would you ever do something like this? And he just looks at me and he goes, Lord, thank you so much for telling me. Like, I know that took a lot for you. And I could just feel my shoulders drop like inside my body. I'm just like, oh my God, like I did it. Like I finally managed to tell someone. And I told him, like, I come to you today because I'm so scared that I'm going to do this to someone I care about, that if I get a girlfriend and I do this to her, like I can never ever live with myself. And he was like, like that's a really like complex thought for you to have. And I'm so glad that you came and saw me today, because like this is the first step. And he was like, or to be honest, like I don't ever see you doing like something like that to someone because of how you personally feel. I think you would stop yourself much before then. And I just felt like coming out of there, I just like had this smile on my face. I was like, you did it, buddy. Like you told someone, like, good job, because for so long I was like, I'm never going to tell anyone. I can't tell anyone. Like, that's it, And I came out of that counselor session, and, later in the night, we're like meeting up with some friends, and they're like, oh, like, how was your day? What'd you do today, Lord? And I'm like, oh, like I went to see the counselor today. And they're like, oh, the new guy. And I was like, yeah. And they're like, oh, what'd you guys talk about? And I was like, you guys want to go talk about it? And just to provide a little bit of context, like in college, my guy friends and I, we had this thing called laundry room talks, where anytime one of us wanted to talk about something like a little serious, a little heavy, we'd be like, laundry room? And we would like all like cram ourselves into a laundry room. We'd like sit on top of the dryer. We'd like close the door. We'd turn off the lights, and we'd be like, all right. And oh, bless their hearts. And I tell them, I'm like, hey, you guys remember Kyle? And they're like, yeah, I remember Kyle. And I was like, freshman year, Kyle like did these things to me. And they're like, what? And I feel so much hesitation right now, because I'm like, oh my God, like I was on a high from telling a counselor, and I'm so stupid for like telling my guy friends, like, why would I do such a thing to myself? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm freaking out. And they're like, dude, like, thank you so much for telling us that. Like, and I was like, oh my God, like so much relief. And they're like, yeah, he was a pretty weird dude. And I was like, oh my gosh, you thought that too? And they're like, yeah, he said some stuff to me too. And I was just like, oh my God, like this was happening to you guys too, and none of us said anything. And they were just like, hey, like, we're here for you. And we were like, thanks so much for telling us. And we just like kind of had a moment where we were like all hugging, and then we like went downstairs, and like it joined the rest of the party. And so after I had told the school counselor and those 3 friends, while I had a lot of time to reflect, I was just like, I want to actually write about what had happened to me. I write it and I feel ashamed. I'm like, oh my God, this is so stupid. Like people are going to judge me so much. And I take a pause, and eventually I finish it, and I have this really pretty polished out rough draft, and I send it to one of my really good friends, and I'm like, hey, this is a thing that has happened to me. It was really difficult, but what I need from you right now is for you to proofread this. And she reads it, and she gets back to me, and she's like, hey, like, first of all, that was really hard. That was really hard for me to read, to proofread, to be objective. And we just called, and we were like, thanks so much for telling me. Like, I really appreciate you. I care about you so much as a friend. And I had gotten it all polished up and ready to publish. And I was like, okay, this is going to be a thing. We're just going to go for it. I just sent it for college. I'm going to send it for this blog, and we're just going to do it. So I like put up on my Instagram, like, hey, tomorrow I'm going to like release this thing. And I post up a short little snippet of the first paragraph. And I'm like, it'll be up tomorrow. I'd really appreciate it if everyone could take a look at it and read it. And so the following day I posted. Immediate regret. I'm just like, I am so stupid. Like, why would you do something like this? Like, come on, dude. Like, have we not learned our lesson? And I'm like, leave it. It's out there. Let people stare, let people look, it's fine. People have looked at me before, they'll look at me again, it's fine. People who care, they matter, but they won't judge me. People who judge me, they don't matter. I don't care about them. And it was just so much support came in. Like so many people, like people that I just genuinely was like, oh, you don't even care about me. People were just like, hey, like, thank you so much for writing about this. Like, I know this was so hard for you. Like, similar thing happened to me in college from someone else. And like, I know what it's like and I felt so much shame, but I'm so like thankful that you were able to write this and be so positive about it anyways. And just so many people were so kind and just generous. And I felt so unbelievably lucky. And I'm just like very unsure. And I'm like, I text them, I'm like, hey, I wrote this thing, would love for you to read it. Let me know. And I'm just like so terrified. I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Like, this was a mistake. This was a mistake. Why would I do something like this? And then the following day, my dad calls me. And I'm just like, oh, I remember picking up his phone and I see my dad's name. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I'm so screwed. I'm gonna get yelled at right now. And he's gonna be like, how could you do something so stupid? How could you be so irresponsible? And I'm like, and I'm just like, I could feel my heart racing. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And I'm like, and my dad goes like, my son. And I remember him saying that. He goes, my son. And I'm just like, oh shoot, here it comes. Like, I'm so screwed right now. I'm gonna get yelled at. He's like, and I could hear him like start to sob. And I'm like, what is happening right now? He's like, I'm so sorry you had to go through that while you were all alone in North Carolina and that I couldn't be there for you. And he's just like so vulnerable. He's just being so honest. And I was so terrified, right? And I'm so scared that my dad was going to yell at me. And here he is like coming at me and being like, I'm so sorry you were alone through that. I'm so sorry I couldn't be there for you. And I was just like, I felt so much relief. I felt so much relief. He was like, Mom read it too. And Mom, she said, like, my son is so strong. How could he go through that all by himself? We're such bad parents. And I just remember like being on the phone with them and I was like, no, like, you're not bad parents. Like, stuff happens. Stuff just happens. And it's only because you guys were good parents. Like, I was able to make it to the other side. And it was it's such a relief to like hear that from your parents, for them to be like, we're so proud of you. I think the reason that I continue to like share my story, to continue to be vocal, continue to advocate for survivors, continue to work for these nonprofits is I have siblings. And I would like to have kids one day. And I always think to myself, like, if I was my sister, if I was my kid, like, how would I want them to act? And the thing that always comes to me is like, I would hope and pray that they feel comfortable enough to tell me, because I just know how hard it is. I know how isolating it is. I know how hard it is to just be able to tell someone like, hey, I went through this thing, and to have so much uncertainty over whether or not they would respond well. And the thing that always pushes me is I don't want that to be the case. I want to change that narrative. I want people to be like, you know what? There's someone who cares. There are people who care. There are people who are willing to listen to me. There are people who have gone through the same thing and they made it out and they're okay. And so I can make it. And that's always my thing, because you feel so alone. You feel so isolated. You feel like you're the only person ever going through this. Thanks so much for listening, everyone. I really do appreciate it. And I hope that if you've gone through something similar, that you go at your pace and find a way to tell someone and look for better days.